Hi, Warpugs. So before we begin having a little bit of fun here, I wanted to direct your attention to one of our community members' efforts in trying to help the people of North Carolina in the aftermath of the hurricane that passed through there recently. I'll be sharing this link as well as a link to his Facebook post in the description down below. A fellow Warpug named Eric, who has helped me out a great deal when it came to the repair of my truck, was already planning a trip to North Carolina this weekend. And what wound up happening was he was going to be delivering an engine. Well, then the hurricane hit, and he decided he would load up the box truck he was going to be transporting the engine with pretty much everything from water to diapers, formula, plasticware, trash bags, debris removal tools. I can't speak English. Pretty much anything he can get his hands on. So anything going to this is going to go to help the people in North Carolina. Links will be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Warpugs. So, today we're going to be checking out SCP-668, the 13-inch chef's knife. And despite the fact that I've left the other light on for dramatic purposes, kablam! Anyhow, this one is apparently pretty nasty. This one has warning labels not to let it get into 682's hands. Bad signs? Bad signs of future events to come? Warpugs, this was requested by Tito the researcher, and to be quite honest with you, he brought it in, he requested it specifically because it comes before that 2000, the SCP-42000 mark that I've been talking about, where I really do enjoy these ones a lot. Much appreciated, Tito. We're going to jump into this one. This is done by TheVolgun. It's narrated by TheVolgun, so you already know that it's going to be something that I'm going to enjoy. But this particular SCP, when it comes to 682, the hard-to-kill reptile, I already know that they don't want the computer to be in contact with SCP-682. This is going to add a whole new dynamic to that, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. Warpugs, TheVolgun's links are going to be in the description down below. Please check him out. Let's get into this. It's a mind-affecting SCP. Let's go. Chef's kiss. Mwah, no pun intended. The chef's...
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-668. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Revised. As of no special containment procedures aside from standard security are required. SCP-668 is to be transferred to a locked safe deposit box at Site-19's high-value item storage facility. Standard defenses against intrusion, explosive, chemical, biological, and memetic are to be in place at all times according to standard operating procedure.
Okay.
SCP-668 may only be removed from its safe deposit box by personnel with security clearance 2 or higher. Individuals wishing to make use of SCP-668 outside Site-19 must first submit a Form 668 Requested Course of Action Form to 0511 and be fitted with an explosive kill switch collar on a 24-hour timer before taking SCP-668 into the field.
Bro, I'm good.
An auditing officer with security clearance 4 or higher must confirm that SCP-668 has been returned to its safe deposit box before the collar is deactivated.
Okay.
Description: SCP-668 is a 33 centimeter or 13-inch chef's knife with a rosewood handle and full tang construction. Crafted at some point from the late 1930s to the early 1940s. When first acquired by field operatives, SCP-668 was in badly rusted condition, with heavy pitting from bloodstains and other bodily fluids trapped in the micro crevices within the blade. Following thorough analysis, these irregularities were removed for aesthetic purposes. This had negligible, if any, effect on SCP-668's special properties.
Okay, so just so I'm clear here, They restored the blade. This sounds legit. Let's keep going.
The first recorded appearance of SCP-668 was in the 1960s, during an infamous murder case. A New York woman living alone was allegedly assaulted and murdered by an unknown assailant. Despite the fact that 38 witnesses reported hearing the attack, none of them attempted to aid the young woman for over 6 hours.
That's actually based off a real story. A woman was being attacked and just nobody did anything. Nobody did anything to help her. And there were a lot of witnesses to this, and they just watched and looked on and did nothing.
Until her eventual death. Whether the item received its properties due to this event, or whether it had them beforehand, is a matter of debate. See Dr. paper, read The Bystander Effect versus Dr. theory regarding psychic imprintation. What is clear, however, are its current properties.
Okay.
When carried by a humanoid or humanoid entity with violent intent toward another human or humanoid entity, SCP-668 broadcasts a psychic signal that renders all sentient beings with a psionic resistance index of 97 or lower incapable of assisting the victim. Affected entities report a sudden sense of apathy while under SCP-668's influence. Sensory input is not affected, and affected entities report feeling revulsion and horror, but are simply incapable of acting, even indirectly, to assist the victim. Meanwhile, it renders the victim incapable of defending themselves against their attacker. Tests using Class D personnel have shown no upper limit in the number of entities affected by the psychic resonance.
Oh my god.
In one test, 12 Class D personnel due for first-of-the-month termination were placed in a room alongside a researcher who was told to randomly select one test subject for death. The researcher killed all test subjects one by one, despite their professed horror. Prior incidents have indicated the possibility of hundreds, if not thousands of deaths due to SCP-668's unique properties. See Incident Report 668-A, Re. for Mall Massacre and subsequent information blackout operations. Incident 6.
You see, this is why this is why I like this so much. It just is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But it makes so much, the effect it has is so basic and so easy to understand. Oh, this is why I love SCP. This is why I love the lower SCPs, because it's not really complicated or anything like that. It just has an effect, and this is it, and this is what, oh, I love this one so far.
68-A. Incident: retrieval of SCP-668, 13-inch chef's knife. Personnel involved. Date. Location. Description: on City Police Department, Precinct. Responded to reports of a man attacking and killing bystanders with a large chef's knife at a local mall. Upon responding, officers discovered 15 casualties, most of whom had been ritually flensed in a manner described by witnesses as horrific. Officers discovered the subject, an escaped serial killer named, henceforth referred to as Suspect, in the child's daycare
Suspect. He did it!
area in the process of filleting and consuming a 9-year-old boy. Officers ordered subject to cease and desist. Suspect did not comply. Officers then attempted to fire upon suspect, but discovered that they were unable to pull the trigger. Officers then attempted to flee, but found themselves unable to do so after suspect declared his intention to murder every last one of you mother***ing pigs. Suspect proceeded to ending with Cynthia Wallace, a Foundation operative embedded as an observer with the police department. Despite being under severe psychic assault, Officer Wallace, a pseudonym, managed to activate her emergency transponder located in her belt while complying with subject's orders to alerting the Foundation of the situation. Mobile Task Force Pi 1, City Slickers, arrived on the scene minutes later, disguised as an FBI anti-terrorist task force. Pi 1 breached the perimeter, corresponding with the moment that Officer Wallace's vital signs telemetry ceased transmitting. Task Force members discovered suspect standing outside the department store on the 3rd floor of the mall. The police officers' bodies were found suspended from the 3rd floor railing, skin flensed and arranged in the form of wings, entrails removed and trailing to the floor. Officer Wallace's body was found. SCP operatives then attempted to terminate the subject, only to discover that they too were unable to fire their weapons. Team leader transmitted a Class 1 Type 73 mimetic attack alert to command and ordered the team to withdraw. This order failed when suspect stated his intention to find out what all your insides look like.
Oh my god.
Rendering them helpless to escape. Involved task force members were subsequently remote terminated using surgically installed cranial detonators, according to standard field protocol following psychic compromise in a field agent. Command elements then authorized escalation of force to Tier 2, severe collateral damage. Aerial bombardment was attempted but failed when the pilots were unable to release their payload over the target. It was thus determined that the psychic field that prevents hostile intent towards subject may have an infinite range. Escalation of force to Tier 3 was considered but delayed, while Dr. Gears suggested an alternate strategy with a higher chance to retrieve the item intact. Hypothesizing that hostile intent was required for the psychic controls to trigger, Dr. Gears suggested using Class D personnel under mind control by SCP-661. Previously prepared sleepwalker agents fitted with surgically implanted earpieces transmitting SCP-061 were given the following commands. The 061-056 was ordered to give the following commands to the rest of the personnel through radio control.
This is so insane. This is so ridiculously insane. The amount of preparation you'd have to go through to even attempt to stop somebody with this. It just is. Oh wow.
The 061-056 was not given any indication as to the reason for said commands to prevent the psychic defenses from triggering. Agents were able to order D-061-056 to give the following orders, suggesting that the psychic defense may only be able to function through a certain number of iterations. More research is required on this issue. D-061-056 through 070, 12 personnel were ordered to carry explosive charges to 12 predetermined points, opening gas mains along the way. Explosives were detonated in sequence upon being given the final order by D-061-056. D-061-099, who fit the profile of the subject's preferred type of victim, was ordered to move to a predetermined location at the center of the mall to lure the suspect to the best location for both ensuring a kill and allowing for easy retrieval of the remains.
Oh my god.
Finally, 6 D-Class personnel not under control by SCP-061 were ordered to capture the subject. These Class D personnel were not expected to complete their mission and served as a delaying action while the mind-controlled operatives carried out their mission.
Sacrificial lambs.
The operation was a success. By using multiple personnel, none of whom were aware of the significance of their actions, none of the personnel knew that their actions were related to terminating the suspect and were thus able to act freely. Suspect's remains were retrieved from the rubble by a bomb-diffusing robot and placed in a box lined with SCP-148 before being retrieved by Foundation personnel. Following confirmation of capture, Command ordered Tier 3 nuclear detonation elements to stand down from Ready 5 status and declared the incident contained. A cover story blaming the attack on terrorists was formulated and disseminated to the public.
There you go.
Controlled testing has determined that the subject's weapon, 13-inch chef's knife, was the active agent in the incident, emanating a psionic command that the suspect's remains are to be sent to City Police Department along with a replica knife. The original weapon is to be designated a Keter-level SCP,
no kidding.
SCP-668, and sent to Site-19 for further testing. How the suspect acquired SCP-668 is unknown at this time. It is further noted that the obsessive nature of the subject's method of killing may have contributed to the success of this operation. Subject carried out its killings in a ritualistic manner, maximizing the amount of horror, pain, and suffering inflicted on its victims. For this reason, Foundation personnel were able to keep him contained within an enclosed area, the mall, and formulate a plan of action. Should the subject have made the decision to leave the mall and continue its killing spree elsewhere, immediate Tier 3 response by a double-blind operator would have been the only possible method of containing the incident.
This is one of the first times I've heard of something like this requiring this level of response to just simply stop it in its tracks. And because of this thing's effect, you would have had to have somebody, one, not know anything about what they were doing, and just two, just nuking the entire area. Just don't even tell them why, just tell them to drop the bomb. Unreal.
Recovery of SCP-668 in such scenarios is problematic due to the item's psychic properties. Agents attempting to apprehend the subject during containment failure incidents are often themselves affected by SCP-668's so-called apathy field, resulting in casualties among Foundation personnel. Following Incident 668A, standard retrieval protocol includes the use of a long-range sniper rifle, double-blind conditions, and 3 different agents working in tandem through carefully coordinated actions to prevent any of them realizing that they are actively opposing the subject.
That's just crazy.
Because of the obvious apocalyptic possibilities, it is the recommendation of this panel that SCP-668 be designated a Keter-level threat and placed in high-level containment. Addendum 668-A. Following further testing, it has been determined that test subjects wielding SCP-668 can be terminated through passive response so long as the terminating agent is introduced before the subject takes possession of SCP-668. The Running Man Protocol, see Appendix 668-B, approved terminating agents, is hereby approved for use with SCP-668, and the item in question is hereby reclassified as a Euclid-type object. Addendum 668-B. Use of Omega-7 personnel for retrieval of SCP-668 during future containment failure incidents is to be hereby forbidden due to the danger of SCP-76-2 coming into contact with the item. Addendum 668-B is revoked as a due to SCP-76-2's expressed distaste at using an item that, in its own words, takes all the fun out. Possibility of using SCP-76-2 as a solo agent for any future containment failure incidents under review. With the ending of the Omega-7 project, no further attempts to weaponize SCP-76-2 or SCP-668 are to be attempted. Addendum 6.
Put it in a mold, cover it with concrete, and dump it in the abysmal trench, okay? Or launch the damn thing into space, into the sun.
668 C. Do not, under any circumstances, allow SCP-668 to come into contact with SCP-682. Note that although average human beings have a psionic resistance index of 24, SCP-682 has been tested with a psionic resistance index of placing it above SCP-668's threshold of effect. The possibilities of a creature inimical to all life gaining possession of something like this should be obvious.
Yeah?
With the ending of the Omega-7 project, no further attempts to weaponize SCP-682 or SCP-668 are to be attempted. Addendum 668-D. Request to reclassify SCP-668 under its original designation as a Keter-class object under review. Addendum 668-E. Request to reclassify SCP-668 under its original designation as a Keter-class object denied. SCP-668 will remain at Euclid classification. You know, sometimes I really don't understand people. This thing is not Keter. You guys ever heard of the locked box test? Anyway, I don't want to get into this right now. Frankly, I just want to have some lunch.
Yay.
So I'm gonna leave it here.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
This is probably one of the most dangerous SCPs I've ever heard of. This is probably, like, not even probably, it is one of the most dangerous SCPs I've ever heard of. This thing, it doesn't have a sentience, has no will of its own, has no abilities except to make people passive, but in the make them passive in the face of some of the most just unreal war pugs. This, like, I love this. This is this was just outright, this is how you invoke a fear response, because it just takes your ability to act in your best interest away from you. It takes your survival instinct and flushes it down the toilet. It takes your want or need to help somebody in need and strips it from you. And it makes you unable to act in the face of absolute horror. I love this thing. This thing is incredible. I just don't know why you wouldn't just, as soon as you got your hands on it, as soon as you figured out what it did, as soon as you figured out what happened with it, take it, just take it, put it in a mold, cover it with steel or concrete or whatever you can do, and launch it into the sun. Get this thing off the planet and out of the hands of anyone. Just get it, just throw it into the sun. My God, this is it. Ugh. I love these SCPs, I swear to God. War pugs. The origin of this SCP, as it comes from an actual event, which scientific papers were released about this, and it was called the bystander effect. But the story at the beginning is actually based off a real story of a woman being attacked, and nobody stepped up to help. Nobody stood up and tried to assist her. They just all sat back and listened to it happen, and nobody went to try to help. And to think that this came as a result that was inspired by. Oh, War Pugs. All links are going to be in the description below for the Volgun. Top 3, definitely, of the SCP creators that I've seen. Check them out. I'm going to head out from here. All my links are going to be in the description down below as well, including Patreon, including just click the join channel, join link to join as a member. I'm going to go. I don't need any more past this, War Pugs. I am out.